guys, Josh here, and recently this channel reached 50,000 subscribers. So that is 50,000 of you in the gaming garden enjoying and discussing farming games with me. We created such a nice community over the last few years, and I just wanted to thank you for being here, watching the videos, the live streams, commenting, and I've been having such a great time. I hope you're having a great time here as well. If you're not subscribed yet, you can still join us before we get to 100,000 subscribers. And to celebrate the 50,000 today, I wanted to do a Q&A. So not too long ago, I asked you to send me some questions, whether it was about my personal life, gaming, YouTube, or anything in between. And I got a lot of questions. A lot of them were similar, so I tried to pick the most different ones and the most interesting ones that I will be answering today. So the first question is from Selfia, who says, "Congratulations, I'd like to ask, how did you end up loving farming simulation games? And what made you give up your dream job to be a full-time content creator? More power to you and your channel. Honestly, love all your videos and it has helped me a lot in dealing with the stresses of life. God bless." Well, first of all, Selfia, thank you so much. The main thing I do on this channel is give farming games recommendations, reviews, tips and tricks. But it's always so nice when I hear that my videos can also have a positive impact on your life and helping you with stress and things like that. So it's always so nice whenever I see comments like these. And to answer your first question, how did I end up loving farming simulation games? Well, when I was a kid, my brother and I used to get like $5 every weekend to go rent a game. And we would have a Nintendo 64, so we would try like a different game every week. And one day I stumbled upon this one, Harvest Moon 64, and I was really intrigued by it because looking at the cover, it doesn't look like anything you know of. Like farming games were so new at the time, and even looking at the back, I wasn't sure what it was. I couldn't read English, so I just went in completely blind. And then I tried the game, and my brother didn't like it too much, but I completely fell in love with it. It was so relaxing. I loved the music. I loved the atmosphere. The gameplay loop was so addictive, and it was just completely new, and I loved it so much. I ended up renting the game multiple times. Eventually, my parents bought it for me. And I lost my original copy, unfortunately, but I did buy it again last year. And it's such a good game. I still go back to it almost every year. It is currently on the Nintendo Switch Online. So you guys, if you've never played Harvest Moon 64, I do recommend it. And yeah, such a great game. So that's how I got into farming games. And to answer your second question, what made me give up my dream job to become a full-time content creator? Well, for those who don't know, I used to be a flight attendant for a few years. It was sincerely a dream job. I had so much fun. I got to see so many different countries. And I love that every day with that job was completely different, working with different people, going to different places. And also the schedule was pretty flexible, and it's just such a great job. But eventually last year, I was doing both at the same time, right? YouTube and flight attendant for multiple years. And eventually I came to the conclusion that I wanted to put my 100% in YouTube and try to build my own thing. And yeah, kind of just follow my own dreams and do my own thing. And it was hard to do both at the same time for such a long period of time. So I decided to go all in on YouTube, and it was a difficult decision. If anybody finds themselves in a similar situation where they have a job and they're also doing content creation, I would recommend really thinking about it, because content creation, like the income, fluctuates a lot and it can be a little bit stressful sometimes, but also it is so much fun that now I can stream more regularly, post videos more regularly, and I feel like I'm getting more opportunities as well now that I can put all of my energy into it. So overall, I'm very happy with my decision and how things are going so far. So yeah, next we have two questions from Casey Space 64, who asks, when you play farming games in your free time, how many in-game years do you usually finish? And do you typically see a game through to completion or just stop playing randomly, burnt out, get bored, etc.? I feel like for the amount of in-game years, it really depends on the game, because in some games, one day will be 10 minutes. In another game, one day could be 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So that's kind of hard to answer in that way. But usually if I do enjoy a game, I will play it for as long as I can. I love to spend a lot of time on just one game, especially farming games. I feel like a lot of them have like an encyclopedia where you can see all of the crops, all of the fish, all of the materials and everything, and I do love trying to complete everything if I enjoy a game, of course. Also, if a game has any building or decorating mechanics that will make me play it for a lot longer, such as Sunhaven, Coral Island, Roots of Pacha, Immortal Life, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. In all of these games, it's very fun to decorate your farm, and I can spend hours and hours just making sure everything looks good. So in most cases, I try to finish a game as much as I can before going to the next one, and I feel like I don't really get bored easily with games. And even some games like Harvest Moon 64, I can play it almost every year. And even though this game doesn't have like that many different mechanics, it doesn't have decorating or anything like that, I don't mind going back to it year after year. So I think it's fine to like go back to some older games instead of like always trying to play the new ones. But yeah, also recently there's been just so many new games releasing, and as a content creator, it's been difficult. Sometimes there's like 4 games releasing in 1 month, and I'm trying to play a little bit of everything so I can make reviews or videos about them. So I feel like that's the main reason right now when I don't finish games, is probably because there's another game that came out and I have to play it, and then I kind of forget about the first game. So I feel like we have too many games and not enough time. But yeah, it's very tough for me to get bored of a game. Of course though, if I really don't like a game, I won't complete it. I won't force myself to play it for too long because life is too short to play games you don't like. Next we have Chelsea, who asks, do you collect any gaming merch from your favorite games? And yes, I do love collecting merch. My favorite series, of course, is Story of Seasons. So I've got my co-star right here, the little Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town cow. And I am planning to do a room tour where I will show you everything. But right now on my desk, I also have a Stardew Valley chicken. I have a Story of Seasons chicken glass. I got this at PAX West. There was a Marvelous booth and I bought that. And I have a little coaster, a little Wonderful Life coaster when I bought the Japanese version of A Wonderful Life. I always buy the Japanese version of these games because they come out earlier there. And usually they come with nice merch. So I have some coasters. I do have some Stardew Valley stationery. So I've got a pen and there's some notepads. I do have a Kirby humidifier, which is so cute. You've got a little Kirby floating. Yeah, it's just so cute. And yeah, so that's just like the stuff that's around me. I do also have this Animal Crossing calendar. I'm recording this on the 26th of March. So I do have a lot of cute gaming merch from my favorite series. I also have this Pikmin pencil case. So yeah, lots of cute things, but stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss out the full room tour. Next, Batskulls 1957 is asking, what do you think the next Story of Seasons game will be? Do you have any specific remake you're hoping for, or are you more hoping they'll expand upon the whole Pioneers of Olive Town style? So I think these are really interesting questions. If you didn't know, Marvelous announced last year 2 upcoming Story of Seasons games. We don't know anything about their platforms, or we don't know too much about these games. For the first one, they showed some footage of like some environments with some animals, and it looked kind of reminiscent of Pioneers of Olive Town. So I'm wondering, maybe they will do kind of what they did with Harvest Moon Island of Happiness and then Harvest Moon Sunshine Islands, where they took some of the mechanics, some of the characters, but kind of just like improved upon it. So honestly, I would love to see that, a new game in the Olive Town world with similar mechanics, but of course improved based on the feedback given by the players. And they already improved Olive Town a lot since its original release. So I feel like if Marvelous learned from their mistakes and really can do like an Olive Town 2.0, I think that could be very interesting. I'm also open to something completely new. And the second game that they've announced, it seems like it's going to be more multiplayer. They talked about like interacting with other players. And you can also see in the illustrations, the artwork that they've showed, you were able to see characters from previous games. So I'm thinking this might be a live service game or a multiplayer game or something like that. We don't know too much about it, but I'm open to something like that as well from Story of Seasons, maybe a mobile game, something a little bit different. But I don't think that any of these new games that they've announced are remakes. However, I'm sure they will make more remakes in the future. We already got Mineral Town, we got A Wonderful Life, and I think next we might see Magical Melody and then Animal Parade. It seems like they're going in order of like chronological order. So we might see Magical Melody next. I feel like that's my guess. Next, we've got Miggy who says, congrats, Josh. I can't think of any questions right now since I feel like I interact with you almost daily. I've been here since ACNH days, and I just want to let you know how much you inspire me. We see your hard work. Thank you so much. Love your videos, and I believe I've gained a genuine friendship with you. And that is so true. I think that's one of the things I love the most with this community. Even though most of our interactions are online, well, I've seen some of you in real life as well, but most of the time we spend together is online. But still, there's been so many friendships built, not only me, but also you guys between each other, like on Discord. We have like game nights where people play together regularly. And it's just so nice to see everybody building together. Wait, yeah, building a community together and like friendships and chatting with each other. And yeah, it's just so nice. Such a beautiful thing. So thank you so much, Miggy. And now let me get to your question. Well, you say not a question, but I need you to drop your skincare routine. How do you look so fresh, soft, and supple all the time? Well, thank you so much. That's a really nice thing of you to say. I think my skin is not like perfect or anything like that. I think the lighting might make it better. So for example, if I turn off the lights like this with the lights off, I think you might be able to see some more imperfections. But still, I'm often asked about skincare, so I will share it with you. Just keep in mind, I'm not a dermatologist, I'm not an expert, and every skin is different, so what works for me might not work for you. But let's get started, and I wash my face twice a day with the CeraVe cleanser. All of the products I use are, like, you can find them easily in most drugstores. I'm in Canada, so I think if you're anywhere in North America, you can find those. I'm not too sure about other countries, but I use this morning and evening. And then I moisturize with these moisturizers from Olay. So this one with vitamin C in the morning and this one with retinol in the evening. And yeah, so that's that. And right after applying this one in the morning, I use sunscreen, and I get like burned pretty easily because I have pale skin. So I use this one is SPF 50, and it's the Ultra Sheer from Neutrogena. And I like this one because it doesn't leave any like marks or like white on your face. So yeah, that's all the products I use. That's pretty much it. Outside of the products though, I feel like what makes the biggest difference are like your other behaviors. So for example, sometimes I will find myself, if I'm watching a video or something, like touching my face, putting my hands on my face, like something like this, right? And if I do that, sometimes the next day I'll have a pimple or something. And if I don't get enough sleep, or if I eat bad for like a few days in a row, like if I'm on vacation or like during the holidays, usually my skin will not be as good. So I feel like these things like sleeping and diet and like making sure you don't touch your face, I feel like are the biggest things, also with sunscreen. All right, let's turn the lights back on for our next question from Mandy. Congrats to Josh. I'm proud of you for making it so far. Thank you. I'd love to see a Q&A. Well, you're seeing one right now. I'd like to ask you what your advice is for people wanting to start their own gaming YouTube channel. Thank you. All right, so I think I have two pieces of advice for people wanting to start a YouTube gaming channel. And I'm sure you've heard these tips before, but they worked for me, so I will reiterate them. And the first one is just get started. So I've wanted to start a YouTube channel for so long. It took me so long to get started. And I finally did it during COVID when I had nothing to do. I didn't have the best equipment. I was not comfortable talking on the microphone. I didn't have any like camera or anything. I was just like talking on the mic. Yeah, my equipment was not good. I had no idea what I was doing. And my videos were definitely not the best. But the only way to get better is by doing it. So even if you make your first video, you don't like it, still upload it. It's better to have a bad, like your first videos are never going to be great. So yeah, the most important thing is just get started, do something, just do it. And then eventually you will learn from your mistakes and you will get better slowly. Little by little, you will get better. and have a better understanding of your audience and what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and how everything works. My second advice is to find a niche or like find something specific that will make your channel different from others. So for example, when I started my channel, I was making Animal Crossing videos, but at that time when I started, there were already like hundreds, thousands of channels making lots of Animal Crossing content. And it was really, really slow to grow my channel, and my videos were getting just like a few hundred views, sometimes less, and it was really slow for the first year. And then after 1 year, Story of Seasons Pioneers of Alifton released, and the Japanese version actually came out 1 month before the international one. And because I lived in Japan for a few years, I was able to read Japanese a little bit and understand it. So I decided to get the Japanese version and cover it on my channel, which obviously not a lot of people were doing at the time. So that really helped my channel grow. And then, of course, I decided to continue covering the game with the English version. And that's when I found out that there were not that many channels talking about just farming games. There were some channels about Stardew Valley, some channels about like cozy games, like in general, but not that many channels just about farming games, especially like Story of Seasons, Rune Factory, and all of these small indie games as well. So I decided to really focus on that, so that when someone thinks of farming game, like they were looking for a review or tips about a farming game, they can think about my channel, look it up, and find something. I think at first it could be a good idea to like try different things. Like if you keep doing the same videos and they don't work, like I was doing my Animal Crossing videos that didn't do too well, but I kept doing them. So obviously it was a really slow growth until I did something different. So yeah, try different things, see what works, and then once you have something that works, just keep doing similar to that. So I hope it was helpful, but yeah, basically my tips are just get started. Don't be afraid to try different things, and try to find like your specialty, your niche, or something that's gonna make you special, because there are thousands of people starting channels every day. And yeah, you gotta do something different. Next, we've got Sora, who's asking, congratulations on 50K, thank you. So proud of how much you have achieved, and I'm looking forward to more growth in this channel. I know you're focused on cozy farming games mostly, so I'm wondering if you ever thought of branching out to other game genres. So this kind of relates to the previous question. Right now, I do want to focus on farming games. You know what? Even when I cover cozy games that are not like strictly farming games, they generally don't do as well. So I want to try to keep my channel focused on one thing. However, I do love to play other games. So maybe one day, if I do branch out, it would be like on a separate channel to keep the algorithm working right? So my videos can keep doing well here. And then maybe I could have another channel covering other types of games. One thing I'm doing right now that actually does allow me to play other types of games is during my members streams, which I do once every 2 weeks for the Super Seedling members on YouTube. During those streams, I just play other types of games. So it could be like Elder Scrolls, Baldur's Gate, The Sims, Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, like all the games I don't typically cover on my channel. Like I play them with the channel members, and we just kind of like hang out together, and it doesn't mess up the algorithm of my channel that's doing well with the farming games. Just for people that want to spend like more time together, right? So I feel like that's one good way that I kind of branch out to other games, is with the member streams. But yeah, otherwise it would probably be on a separate channel. And also recently, we just have so many farming games releasing, and I'm kind of behind on covering all the games I want to cover on this channel. So I want to make sure I keep doing that right before I start dedicating time to other things. Next, we have the Blade Goddess, who says, congratulations, you deserve it. Your videos and streams always brighten my day, and you have built an incredible community. Thank you for all you do for us. As you continue to grow your channel and community, what does the ultimate best result and goal look like for you? So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but my goal is that when people think of farming games, I want them to think of my channel. So if they're looking for reviews, tips and tricks, news, if they have a question about the farming game, I want them to be able to look up my channel and find everything they need. So in the end, I want to be like the ultimate source of information for farming games. And I know I do still have a lot of work to do. There are so many games I did not cover yet that I was hoping to cover, and I'm doing everything by myself. So eventually I would love to like maybe work with someone, maybe have someone to help me edit videos or something like that. Also, I'm not looking to grow super big or like super fast. I'm not looking to have 1 million subscribers or anything like that. I would rather just keep growing slowly and building a very strong, dedicated community, and I think we're all doing pretty good so far on that. And also I would love to get a little bit more involved in the games industry, so I would love to like one day work on a game, whether that is like my own game that I'm doing from scratch or maybe joining a team that's working on a game. I've always been so interested by game design, and I'd love to like get involved in some way in game development in the future. Which brings me to the next question from Melis and Shrew. Congrats on the 50k, a well-earned milestone. If you could make your perfect cozy game, what would it look like? What kinds of elements and features would you want it to have? So this is something I think about regularly, and my answer is constantly evolving. But if you asked me right now what my perfect game would be, I think I would have farming mechanics similar to those in Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. That game's farming was so innovative, and it had different like layers of complexity. It felt nice to do, and yeah, I feel like a lot of farming games have very simple or not that fun farming. So yeah, the farming in that game was great, so I would definitely take some inspiration from that. So that would be the first feature, like a more complex farming. The second feature would be having your own shop. So I love shopkeeping games like Reciteer, Moonlighter. I'm also thinking about Sims 2 Open for Business. I know you can have shops in recent Sims games, but I spent so much time on that one specifically. Also, Winkle My Little Shop is such a good shopkeeping games. And yeah, I just love like building my own shop, selling items, negotiating with customers. So that is something I would love to integrate with my game. And the third point for my game is that I would want it to feel very sandboxy, very open-ended, kind of like Minecraft. So it wouldn't have too much of a story. Characters are not the most important thing for me in farming games. So you would just kind of like do your own thing and build stuff, decorate stuff, farm, do your shop. But yeah, there wouldn't be too many restrictions or objectives. You kind of just like do your own thing. Kind of like Dincom. Actually, I feel like that game would be a good inspiration. If I was to work on my own game, it would maybe feel similar to that. So keep an eye out for that. Who knows, maybe one day that game will come true. And next question is from Mimimi, who says, congratulations, wholly deserved. For Q&A, is there a farming game setting like space, prehistoric, fantasy, or feature like magic crops, portable home that you haven't seen done before but would want to see? So that's an interesting question. And for this setting, I know I just talked about like making my own game. If I made my own game, I don't think it would be in that setting because I don't know too much about it, but I would love to see a farming game in a steampunk setting. I think it's a setting we don't see in a lot of games, especially like cozy games, and it has so much potential. It could be so interesting. And whenever I think of titles like Rune Factory, I always wish we actually had like factories and things like that. Maybe in a steampunk setting, you could have like a lot of automation, lots of machines, and I don't know, I feel like it could be such a fun setting for a farming game. I don't think that's one I would do personally, because yeah, as I said, I don't know too much about that art style, like how to do it well. But if someone knows about it, I feel like they could do something good. And for the features, you mentioned portable home. I feel like portable homes, every time I've seen it, like in Bendel Tale, Harvest Moon, The Winds of Vantos, it was always so annoying to me. I think this is a mechanic that is really difficult to get right in a farming game. It's often just more annoying than anything else. Also, with other games that have multiple houses, like Sunhaven, sometimes it can feel annoying having to go to all of your different farms and houses. Usually, I do tend to like farming games where the world is smaller and you just focus on one house, one farm, and make it as nice as possible instead of like always moving around. But to actually get to your question, I think one thing I would love to see, I mentioned a little bit earlier that I would love more complex or like realistic farming mechanics, kind of like in Sakuna or Rise and Ruin. And more specifically, I would love to see companion planting. So for example, in real life, you have certain crops that will thrive next to each other, right? So just like a fictional example, but if you have like tomatoes right next to peppers, maybe the peppers will push away pests that will eat the tomatoes. So they will help the tomatoes. And on the opposite, sometimes if you have like mint can be like very invasive and like grow a lot. So if you plant something right next to mint, maybe it won't grow as much because the mint will like take over. So I would love to see mechanics like that where it's almost like a puzzle where you have to figure out what crops to plant next to what other crops so that their harvest can be bigger and yeah, get a higher quality crops. And I don't think I've seen any games do that kind of like companion planting or like, I don't know what's the opposite, like enemy planting. I don't know, but yeah, something like that I think could be great to see. Next, we have Anpancake, who says, congratulations, Josh. You introduced me to a lot of new cozy games at a time when I needed them. As a question, how important is a game's art style graphics for you? And do you prefer 3D or 2D pixel art for the games that you play? Honestly, I love both 3D and 2D. I think it's nice to have a little bit of variety, so I like to like switch things up. But I don't think I have a preference. And as for graphics, honestly, I like everybody else, I do enjoy some nice graphics, but it's really not the most important thing for me. What I do find important, however, and that can even like kind of make or break a game, is the art direction. For example, some games have very inconsistent assets. Let's say they have like really realistic characters, but the world is very cartoony and they don't fit well with each other. Or sometimes it's gonna feel like the UI was made by a completely different team than the rest of the world and they just clash so much and it doesn't feel like very cohesive. So I like when there's a clear direction and a clear purpose behind the artistic decisions. And yeah, so I think that's really important. That really helps me get immersed into the world of the game. As an example, a lot of indie developers will use, I have in mind, there's this set of like low poly farming sim like characters and items and models and everything. And I see that specific asset pack in so many farming games. And I understand that it's a good way to save costs and everything like that. But it removes any kind of personality from the games because it's characters you see in other games, and it feels kind of a little bit lazy in my opinion whenever I see these assets. I don't think they necessarily look bad or anything like that, but they just don't give any personality to the game. And that's one thing I feel is important to me, is for the game to have like a personality. I want to feel that the artists had a purpose behind what they created. And yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, as long as everything is like cohesive and has like meaning behind it, I think that's more important to me than like how good the graphics look, if that makes sense. Next, we have Asuna, who says, congrats, Josh. So happy for you. I remember back when you had 10K. It's been a ride. Yes, it has been such a ride. You're in Canada currently. Are you thinking of moving in the future, and would you want to go back to live in Japan? Also, are you planning to adopt any kind of animals? So yes, I am in Canada right now. If anybody's wondering, I am French Canadian, so I am from Quebec. My first language is French, but I moved to Toronto when I got my job as a flight attendant. And now I am self-employed. I'm just doing content creation, so I don't really need to be in Toronto anymore. I could basically be anywhere. I used to live in Japan for a few years and I absolutely loved it there. I loved the food, the culture, everything felt so convenient, safe, clean, and I had a great time. I would totally be open to going back to Japan. I would also be open to going anywhere else, other places in Asia, in Europe. I would love to live in the US as well, because Canada is very cold. And yeah, I've always wanted to live somewhere warmer. But the only thing right now is that since I am self-employed, it's not that easy to move to another country because you need like a visa and everything like that. So basically, I would need to have a company in the other country to sponsor my visa. So I'm always open to like new challenges and opportunities. So if there's a company in Japan or like in the US or anywhere else that would want to hire me to like, I don't know, work on something together, I would be open to the idea. But as of right now, I am staying in Canada. But yeah, even though it is so expensive here, it's so expensive, and I feel like, yeah, it is cold, but still, still having a good time though. Toronto is a nice city to live in. And the second part of the question is, are you planning to adopt any kind of animals, cat or dog? So I do love dogs. So when I was a flight attendant, I was away most of the time, so it was not the best to have a pet. Right now I could, but also my apartment is pretty small and I still love traveling. So it's kind of a big commitment. So yeah, I would love to have a dog in the future, but not for now. Next question says, congrats, Josh. I love your content so much. Thank you for such cozy videos and live streams. The community here is amazing. My question, are you okay with receiving gifts from us in the mail? I would love to send you some game-related things or snacks from the US. If you're not comfortable with that, I understand though. Yes, please do feel free to send me things. I do have an address listed in the description of most of my videos, so check it out. And it is kind of like an office address. It's not a PO box. So even if you send things that don't deliver to PO boxes, you should be able to send anything there. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to it. Next, Miss Emma is asking, what do you like to spend your time doing when you are not making videos or playing video games? Any other hobbies? So right now, to be honest, I've been quite busy since I've been doing full-time content creation, like working on videos every day or like playing games in preparation of videos and then live stream. So I feel like that's been consuming most of my time. Other than that, I do love traveling. Obviously, I was a flight attendant, so I used to travel a lot for work, and even outside of work, I love traveling. And when I travel, one of my favorite things to do is hiking. So I'm not the most like outdoorsy person, but I do like hiking quite a lot, and like just walking in general. I like to go in a new city and just like walk around. And besides traveling, another thing I like is music. So as you can see, I have a keyboard here and I have a ukulele here. And yeah, but I'm not really good. I don't spend enough time playing instruments, but it is something I still enjoy. All right, next, Strawberry Moon Phased says, hi Josh. I can't remember when I started watching your videos, but it was probably sometime during the pandemic and being in the lockdown here in Australia. I love your videos as they are so comfy to watch and listen to, as well as really informative, fun, and interesting. Thank you. And I can tell a lot of love has been put into each and every video. I'm sure I have many questions, but I'd really love if I could meet you one day. So would you ever consider going to gaming conventions for meet and greets? And a bit of a dumb question, but do your hands, arms ever get sore from all the gaming you do? No, my hands and arms never really get sore. I feel like the only physical thing I need to worry about is like my posture. I feel like I'm always like slouching, and I have to be careful about that because I spend a lot of time on my desk. I do have a standing desk, so sometimes I like to like stand up to be more like straight. But yeah, my hands and arms are fine. And as for your main question, I do sometimes go to gaming conventions. So I went to PAX West, I went to PAX East. And that's another thing too with like living in Canada. There's not that many like conventions and stuff here compared to the US. So I have to travel every time there's something. So whenever I go to these events, I love to meet you guys. I went to PAX East and saw a few of you. As for like proper meet and greets, I feel like even though this community has reached 50,000 people, we're spread out like all over the world. So if I go to like one physical location, there's not going to be like that many of you at that location. So I feel like it would be, with my size, kind of difficult to do like proper meet and greet. And I would be scared of like organizing something and have just like 2 people showing up. So formal like meet and greets and events will probably have to wait a little bit. But yeah, whenever I go to gaming conventions or anything like that, usually I post it on Twitter and Discord. And then if you guys want to meet me, just let me know. Next question from Naribule. Huge congrats on 50K, Josh. It's been awesome to follow your YouTube journey. I want to ask, if this hasn't been asked already, which video game worlds would you be down to live in? It doesn't have to be just farming sims, although those would be some pretty easy answers. Yes, good question. I would say probably the Rune Factory world, because you've got a pretty good selection of towns with different styles. The one that comes to mind, if I had to pick one, I forgot the name, but the island in Rune Factory Tides of Destiny is so beautiful and nice, so I would love to live there. There's also a pretty good diversity of like characters. Everybody has a different personality, and I'm sure I would have a great time with these people. You've got lots of monsters that you can like tame, collect, and like interact with. And even though Rune Factory has monsters, I feel like usually when you're in the city, you're kind of safe, so you don't risk like dying too much. It's not too dangerous, whereas other games like Harvestella feel a lot more scary. And on the other end, other games like Story of Seasons might feel a little bit too close to the real world, and I don't know if I would be able to see like that many differences. So yeah, I feel like Rune Factory is perfect because yeah, it has great characters, great people, nice looking towns, lots of cute monsters, but not too many dangers. And yeah, so I would pick Rune Factory. Next question is from Leonel Santizo. Congratulations, I played Harvestella because of you, and I almost agreed with your tier list of games. One question: what do you think about new farming games that don't have the option of same-sex marriage? That is a really interesting question, and I feel like most recent farming games do have the option for same-sex marriage. Maybe one that doesn't have it actually is Rune Factory 3 Special, because that is a remaster of an older game, and marriage was like tied to the main story, so I know how it would have been difficult to like change that and add same-sex marriage. For me personally, I feel like the more options we have, the better. But I think one thing that is important, and even for the either it's same-sex or opposite sex, I feel like it's nice when games really separate friendship from romance. So if there's someone you're not necessarily interested in, but you still want to like have a really close friendship without triggering romance events, I think that is important. So I feel like romance events with a character you're not interested in should only be triggered if you like give them a specific item or something like that. Ultimately though, it's all up to the developer, and as long as they have like a good reason behind what they're doing, it's all just fictional characters, so I don't mind it too much. For example, there are games like Wildflowers or The Witch of Fern Island where you can only play as a female character, and if I had a choice, I would pick the male character. But if I don't have a choice and the character that is there has a reason to be there and has an interesting personality, or like there's a reason for it and the game is enjoyable, I will enjoy it no matter what. And also, relationships are not the most important thing for me in a farming game. So whether there's same-sex marriage or not, I will like usually getting married is like the last thing I do, and I will find someone no matter what. So yes, my answer would be that ideally I would love if you could pick your gender and romance whoever you want. But also, if you're restricted in some form, I don't mind it too much as long as the gameplay is fun. I will probably still enjoy it. Next question from Carleen. Massive congrats, Josh. So well deserved. I have a question. Have you ever played a popular game that you couldn't get into despite so many people raving about it? What's the game and why didn't it hit the mark with you? For example, mine are Dave the Diver and Palia, both highly popular, but I can't seem to get into them at all despite the many attempts. For me, I think that game would be Disney Dreamlight Valley. I actually made one video about that game, and it's one of my best videos to this day, so I'm sure I could have continued playing and like make tons of videos on that game, and my channel would maybe be even bigger than it is now. But even though I enjoyed the first few hours of the game, it felt a little bit grindy for me, and I feel like it's the same with like a lot of live service games, even Palia. I enjoyed it at first, but then it was really hard to like keep going, and I felt like I was behind and I could make as much progress as I wanted to, and I have so many games to play, so live service games can be a little bit overwhelming. And with Disney Dreamlight Valley, there's not like one specific thing. It's not that I dislike it, but yeah, I just couldn't get into it for some reason. So yeah, Disney Dreamlight Valley. Last question for today's video from L. Wicker. Congratulations on 50k. I'm more of a lurker, but have been watching a long time. I'm so happy to see you flourish. You really deserve it. Whenever I'm unsure about a cozy game, you're my first port of call because I know I'll get an honest opinion. Thank you. So my question is, how do you decide which game to play next? There are so many to choose from. Thank you so much, and I agree, it can be very difficult to choose what to play. There are so many games, and that's kind of why I'm here. I hope to like make it easier for you guys to like, when you're thinking of what game to play next, try to make your decisions a little bit easier. For me, I usually go with the game that I'm the most hyped for. Like if there's a game I've been waiting for a long time, I usually will start with that game. So for example, if there's a Story of Seasons or Rune Factory game, because these are my favorite series, I will definitely start with those. And then I will go to other titles that I was maybe not as excited for. Because I am a content creator, also I do have to think about what game will have the biggest impact on my channel. So for example, if there are two games that are releasing on the same day, I might go for the game that is slightly more popular. But that being said, I only do play games that I'm really interested in. So for example, Disney Dreamlight Valley, like I just said earlier, I know this could have been a great game for my channel, but I was not passionate enough about it to like keep covering it. But yeah, I don't really have like a system or like a specific rule to decide what I'm gonna play next. I do try, even though I'm playing like mostly farming games for this channel, I try to like switch things up a little bit. So if I just played a pixel art game, then maybe I'm gonna go for a 3D game next to change things up, right? So I'll try to vary things like that. But yeah, let me know guys in the comments how do you decide what game to play next. This has been a really fun video to record. Thank you so much guys for sending me all of these questions and for being part of the gaming garden community. I can't believe that we are over 50,000 of us here right now. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, feel free to subscribe if that's not already done. Also, I'll post links to our Discord server if you want to make friends, you want to find people to play farming games with, maybe join our game nights. You can do all of that on Discord. I also have new merch coming very soon. So I'll put the link in the description. Depending on when you watch this video, the new merch might be up. Also, stay tuned for the room tour that's coming very soon as well. So yeah, I'm very excited for everything that's to come. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. I hope my answers were interesting. I tried to answer your questions as much as I could. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.